Oh, hello, my children. Paul Elam here. MGTOW, deity, 5th level. Here at your service to explain to you what being a real MGTOW is. How to help you bypass all the imposters who pretend to associate with women and yet dare to call themselves MGTOW. Yes, you must beware, my friends. These imposters will lead you astray. They will make you think you can live a somewhat normal life when you know you cannot. Women do not allow it. You know that you must be isolated to be free. You know that you must forever swear off the poontang to be free. The poontang is evil. Women are evil. Today's lesson is, well, let's not do today's lesson. Let's cut the bullshit. Let me turn off this fucked up lower third and quit the comedy act, such as it is. But this is sort of what I'm reminded of when I see a lot of stuff online these days to do with MGTOW. First of all, self-disclosure, shameless plug. I am plugging a book right here, link in the low bar, MGTOW. The book is called Go Your Own Way, Understanding MGTOW, written primarily by Peter Wright, a MGTOW of 12 years himself. I did an assist, writing a couple of chapters, doing some editing, bringing up some of my older work and putting it in. But we think what we've come up here with so far, and by any indication, the first couple of days of sales and reviews on the book have indicated that people are liking it. We've got 5-star reviews and the sales are doing well. So I wanted to pass the word on, let you know that I think the book is worth the price. Now I know that there is going to be a number of people, hi Stardust, Razorblade Candy, who will be sitting back from their monetized YouTube channels, calling me a sellout for actually daring to invest energy in a book and then charge for it. Or maybe both of us, maybe Peter Wright's a sellout too. Who knows? But the book is good. The criticisms will be lame, I promise you. What I want you to know is that there is a reason to this. And I was just recently inspired. I've been thinking about doing this video for a couple of days, of course, to go out with the release of the book. But I just watched another video by Aaron Clary, link in the low bar, something he just put out today. And no, I did not know his video was coming. But it's worth to watch his video. It's worth it to pause this one, go in the low bar and watch Aaron for about 26, 27 minutes as he lays out the, I believe, the absolute truth about the lack of authenticity in ideological MGTOWs that seem to be taking over, and they're really not, and I say seem to be for a very clear reason. I want to make it clear, these guys that are, I don't know, they're preaching a gospel of MGTOW that have an ideology that says that you must be X, Y, or Z, you must pass my ideological purity test, beware the imposters. It has all the ingredients of a cult. It has all the ingredients of an ideology, much like feminism. And if you don't believe that, if you saw the video that I did a few weeks ago, where I came out essentially and said that it wasn't for me to deny that married men could be MGTOW. I mean, I personally couldn't do it. I don't know anybody that is at once married and identifies as MGTOW, although I've seen people in the comments that say that. I don't know them personally, but my whole point was about this, that if MGTOW itself hinges on the ability to identify yourself and to identify as you please and not by anybody else's standards or litmus test, or not by social pressures, and certainly not by group consensus, which MGTOW, I believe you will discover from reading in the book, was formed to get away from group consensus and from other people telling you what you are. But the sure test of an ideologue is that if you just disagree with one of their beliefs, they go ballistic. And if you go find that last video from me, I'll try to get it in the low bar later. You will see that I just merely offered the opinion that I couldn't tell anybody what a MGTOW was, and that included married men. And then go read through the comments to that and see if that doesn't sound like the comments of an MRA article on Jezebel.com. The MGTOWs just filed in, absolutely out of their fucking minds, outraged and indignant. How can you hijack MGTOW? Don't try to hijack MGTOW. Dude, listen, one, if you can be hijacked, if your mentality about yourself, if the way you identify, the way you live, the choices you make can be hijacked by somebody else, then do you think maybe, just maybe, the way you're doing MGTOW maybe could use some improvement? I don't know, but I know that the bleeding insecurity in the comments, the level of vitriol in the reaction, and I mean, we even had a guy, I don't know if the comment's still there, came in and wanted to murder all of us. I mean, absolutely insane. And I saw the same dishonesty from people like Razorback Candy come in there and make accusations about Dean Esme, which had really nothing to do with the video, but just attack this fervent attack. So how do people, you know, I attack feminism fervently, but not because I feel like feminism attacks me, but because I see feminism harming a lot of men and boys, and I take real strong and, yes, often emotional objection to that. But what I don't do is get outraged if anybody questions me, and I don't get outraged at a personal attack. I mean, there's personal attacks all over the internet on me, and they don't particularly bother me. I've had a couple from people I once was close to that you know, upset me a little bit, but not that I went off. If you look at the comments in the video I referred to, that would ever make me go off like that. And the thing is that secure people that are really secure in their beliefs, don't go off that way when their beliefs are challenged. I don't go off when feminists challenge my belief about men's issues. I try to set the record straight, and I'm logical about it. And I can even be somewhat gracious to them, and sometimes I can be nasty to them. But do I take it personally angry? Is there drool running down my chin, slobber? Do I have veins poking out all over my head? Am I beating on my desk and screaming and throwing beer cans at my girlfriend and saying, make me a sandwich? No, because secure people don't need to react that way. They don't let others dictate and control their feelings. The important thing here that I want to get across, and I do think it's critically important, is that we're at somewhat of a crossroads, that there are, no doubt, just like Clary pointed out, there is a contingent of men who identify as MGTOW. I don't know if I want to use the term in the MGTOW community, but who identify as MGTOW, whose sole raison d'etre appears to be hatred of women. And I don't mean the, like, called the SPLC kind of hatred, none of that bullshit. I don't think what they do is hate speech per se. I just think it's stupid speech. And they are just bent on being, and the way I characterize it is that they're like the guy that's always standing at the door saying, I'm really going to leave this time. You better, you know, please, somebody, please tell me not to leave, because I don't want to leave. I want to be here. I feel rejected. I feel abandoned. And sorry, guys, that is what you look like. You look like the guy that's outraged and is not going to take it anymore, but is secretly willing to take just about anything in order to feel accepted or belong. And you're even willing to belong to a group that's as toxic as some of these on the fringe of MGTOW are. And let's be clear about that too. These guys don't represent anything but themselves. They don't represent MGTOW. You can't. I don't represent MGTOW. I can't. As you'll see in the book, should you choose to read it, everything that Peter Wright and I offered in there was qualified as opinion. Why? Because we both know you can't tell people what a man going his own way is supposed to be. He has to decide for himself. So I want to suggest that you read that, and I want to offer an alternative. I want ABFM to be an alternative. You know, if you need to go to a forum, or if you need to go to the comments of one of Starduck's videos and talk about what whores and cunts and liars and tramps that all women are, with the exception of a couple of one or two that you happen to like on YouTube, interestingly, then by all means, that may be what you need. There's guys that have been hurt and wounded and torn apart by women and by the system that need a place just to go and be outraged for a while. And I'm thankful that Stardust and Razorback Candy and a few others open up their doors to that audience. I also think it puts them in a corner that they have to be allegiant to that. And this is what I think we saw from Razorblade Candy and what we see from Stardust sometimes. These guys aren't stupid. I think they know better. And I think they know that if they ever practice reason, and if they ever really do get, and that's the one area that I have to disagree with Aaron, I don't think these guys are practicing reason at all. I think they're maybe a little more calm and deliberated about how they come across. But the fundamental thing is that these guys were leading the charge against my saying the very things that Aaron Clary said in his video. It'll be interesting to see if they calm down a little bit and try to do something with that. But my guess is that they can't, because they've made it their job to be appealing to guys that are stuck in anger. They've made it their job to create a forum and a venue where there's no way out except maturity, and then you need to leave. That's the deal. And that leaves a vacuum of need for men who are going their own way, or a lot of them just don't need shit, don't need me, don't need Aaron Clary, don't need anybody, certainly don't need Stardust. They're just gone and they don't care. And I think that's most men going their own way. But there are young men who are coming into this, who've seen their fathers wrecked in a divorce, who've maybe been through a couple of bad relationships in their young life, and they're looking around and knowing something's all wrong, and then they see this thing about men going their own way, and boom, it starts making sense, and they want a direction to go. Well, not all of those young men want to run into a brick wall. Not all of them are out to carry on a crusade of their solidarity with the oneness of being alone, and the connectedness of only having these loose affiliations on the internet where they connect with other guys that are just as lost and just as angry and just as crazy. There is somewhere that these guys do not get. And if you think they get it, go read their fucking forums. Go read the comments in their videos about themselves, about women, about life. If you think these guys are holding it together and doing well, you're welcome to that belief. I think it buggers an imagination, a belief that these guys have it together. But there are guys out there. Peter Wright's one of them. There's a lot of others at ABFM, and there's a lot of others, a whole lot more, I think, that aren't anywhere that we know. They're just doing their own thing. But they don't need this toxic, absolutely carcinogenic anger that they stay trapped in, and that their whole reason for being is to stay alone and walled off from the world and never get close to a woman, never do this, never do that. I think that there's a lot of men that would like a different direction that just don't want that. And I think that's what we want to use ABFM to foster and to hold open for, is an avenue for men who have seen, they've taken the red pill. They have seen through the matrix. They know what's going on in the world. They know what courts are like. They know the nature of a lot of women in this culture, which needs drastic improvement. But they're just not ready to shut themselves in a closet with a laptop in order to feel secure. They're not willing to put on a suit of armor 3 inches thick and drag the weight of that around with them in their life in order to feel safe and in order to feel whole. They want to integrate into the world in many healthy ways, but they just want to cover themselves. They want to use that knowledge and that awareness to bring a sense of wholeness to them. And that, to me, of course, it is my opinion, which many of you may disagree with, but that to me is what MGTOW is about. It is about happiness and health and being adjusted and being whole and being free of the anger at least to the point that you don't let it dominate everything you think, that you don't let it color every relationship you have with every other human being. And, you know, I'm a guy that won't get married. I've been with the same woman for 13 years. I'm not getting married, never going to marry, because in my mind, you don't marry women, you marry the state. And then if the time comes, and it probably will, that the woman doesn't want you anymore, she can boot you out, but you're still going to be wed to the laws of your state, and you will be for a long time. And it drives a lot of men to kill themselves. It drives other men to engage in other really harmful, self-destructive behaviors. And one of those self-destructive behaviors is perpetual carcinogenic, toxic anger that just seethes up, just bubbles on the surface all the time and builds pressure and pressure and pressure. MGTOW is about releasing that pressure, in my opinion. It's not about storing it up. It's important that men find their anger, that they figure out what it is that's pissing them off. And once they figure out that they've been screwed over, that's a pretty easy job. Once they get over the denial and thinking that the princess would never do that, or that they've been taught all their lives that women are up on these pedestals and they can do no wrong. And I've seen plenty of guys go through just horrific divorces and are still trying to figure out what they did wrong, where they've been abused, had their kids and their property stripped away, false accusations leveled, jailed, destroyed, lost jobs, lost income, living in cars, and still sitting there trying to figure out what's wrong with them and what they did wrong. And then when they wake up to the fact that it really wasn't them, then they tend to get pissed off. And I don't blame them. They need to. They need to get angry enough to quit blaming themselves for what women do and for what the system does. But there comes a point when that anger doesn't serve them anymore. The anger's there for a reason. It's to get your attention to the fact that it wasn't you, to get your attention to the shit that it was, so you can start living in a way that actually does something about it and that moves you forward. A lot of these guys are not going to get that. And the sad thing is they're never going to get anything like that at some of these more, oh, what do I want to say, piggish forums and YouTube channels where the whole line is about, you know, just as long as you really get the litmus test, buddy, as long as you know that women are bad, men are good, and nobody needs shit from women, and fuck them. And I went over to ABFM. They got a woman moderator over there, and she told me not to post the shit I was posting. And God, all I did was say to everybody there was a bunch of fuck knuckles, and how they ought to be running the site. And I just made a few honest observations, and then they had a woman shut me up. Listen, guys, if that's your level of mentality, you stay where you are. Just stay there, or you can come visit A Voice for Men, and you can make a few rounds and you can say really snotty things, and we'll tolerate a little bit of it, and then we'll ask you to go on your way. But some of you, and one good silver lining that did come out of this whole fiasco with the comments and with people's reaction to what was happening, is that we did see a lot of guys pop into the comments, and I got some emails that said, you know what, I couldn't take it. I went over there to so-and-so's channel and really enjoyed the videos and started making comments and interacting with people in the comments, and most of those guys are just fucking nuts. And I didn't want anything to do with them. And I just basically, I quit identifying as a MGTOW because it was too toxic for me. And those are the guys that need an alternative. Whether you think that what you're doing is right or not, those are the guys that need an alternative. And we certainly don't want to stop anybody. If you want to be in an absolute circle jerk of anger and self-destruction, that's your business. And nobody's got a right to tell you otherwise. But we do want to offer an alternative for guys out there that see this stuff and say, you know what, that's not what I want. I want freedom. I want health. I want to make money or do whatever it is you want to do, that you want to progress in life. But I don't want to get all bogged down in the collective weight of 400 or 500 people's anger and frustration and loneliness and fear and inadequacy, because that's exactly what's going on there. They won't admit it. That's fine with me. I don't care. But what we don't want, and what I'm not going to have happen, is just to remain silent while these people claim that they are the voice of MGTOW, and that anybody who doesn't agree with them is fucked in the head or should be killed or whatever. I get enough of that shit from feminists, and I've gotten it from fundamentalists in my life. You know, ideology has the same end destination. What you believe and what you think is true becomes dogma. It becomes the absolute, unassailable truth. Nobody can say anything about it, and if they do, they're a heretic. And this is exactly, if you go back and look through those comments that I told you about, the mere hint that I had an opinion that differed from some of these people was like snatching the candy out of a 3-year-old's hand. The temper tantrum that resulted from that was absolutely mind-boggling. That's not healthy. We want to offer options that are healthier than that, that are better than that, and that are more appropriate for guys that don't need a place to throw a temper tantrum. And look, I sympathize with throwing the temper tantrum. I threw one myself for a couple of years, starting in '93 when I came out of denial about all this stuff. I was just not a very pleasant, warm and fuzzy guy. I was pretty hostile, and I was not very much the one sign of anything that contradicted the anger that I felt, and boy, I just got more angry and more angry. And I finally figured out how unhealthy that was and started moving out of it. We want to build a place, a part of the community out here that's also recognized as men going their own way, that offers something like that, something better, a way to move past the anger into a more constructive life. And that's exactly what we intend to do. Nobody has to like it. Nobody has to agree with it, and nobody has to participate. We're going to be there anyway, doing this. I'm making plans with Peter Wright right now. I have no doubts that we will be writing more material, that there will be another book, maybe 2 in the future. I have no doubts that we will be working on video projects and more articles together, because, all right, there is a certain percentage of men, we got it, man. Okay, women are risky, romance is risky, marriage is really, really risky. But there are guys that don't need to be told that 9 million times in order to have that belief reinforced. Once they get it, they get it. And they're like, okay, now what's next? Well, women are bitches. Okay, that's what you think. What's next? What do you do next? Well, yeah, sit there and talk about how women are bitches. Well, you know, I guess there is a place for that. I don't know. I don't believe there is of any healthy way. And I don't want to pick on these guys too long, but I think that something does need to be said. Now, I know what one of the things that's going to come up is, oh my God, look at Paul Elam using all this shaming language. Well, yeah, fuck yeah. There's an appropriate place for that. Let me tell you something. I counseled drug addicts for a long time, alcoholics, people that have done just unbelievable amounts of damage to their families, to their jobs, to themselves, to their children, to their parents, to anyone who cared about them. And it was my job in that to hold a mirror to people's face when we got them in treatment. My job was simple. I didn't get into, I mean, we talked about some childhood stuff and yeah, whatever, but my main focus in my work was to hold a mirror up to people's face real clearly, right close to them, and say, look, this is you. This is you. This is what we're here to deal with. This is what you're doing. And I'm sure a lot of them, I know for a fact that a lot of them felt like that was shaming, because when you look at yourself, sometimes it is shaming. When I looked at all the years that I was in denial about the pain and suffering that men went through, I sat down and wept because I was so ashamed of myself. Shame is a healthy behavior. It's a healthy feeling in a lot of ways if it teaches you something and you move out of it. So if you feel ashamed or you feel like I'm trying to shame you, maybe there's a reason for it. Maybe there's not. Maybe I'm full of shit. You be the judge. But I will tell you that these are things that I'm going to be talking about in the future, because what I have seen is a community, not a big one. Again, this doesn't represent near all of MGTOW. This is like a very, very loud, boisterous, vocal fraction of the MGTOW population that is screaming out ideologically that they have control of everything, that they're in charge, that they know what all the answers are, and that they will define for you, by God, who and what you are. And if you say otherwise, they will come for you. Man, if that's MGTOW, I think I'm an atheist, and I thank God that's not MGTOW. I thank God that MGTOW is more about living and letting people live, about staying out of other people's business and minding your own. So anyway, these guys will probably flood in here to the comments. I expect they'll probably come to Amazon, give a few one-star reviews. I do not give a flying fuck. Come on to Amazon and give a few one-star reviews. As a matter of fact, I'll use that because here's how the deal with Amazon works, just in case you want to know. And why you guys out there that are so full of hatred for me because I have an idea that differs from yours. Oh my God, nobody's supposed to do that, are they? Well, I tell you what, I'm going to use you. I'm going to use you just like I've used feminists for several years. I'm going to pick at you a little bit, and I'm going to provoke you, and you're going to go run around talking all kinds of shit about Paul Elam and his fucked up new stupid book, and I'll sell more books, and I'll get more people to A Voice for Men. And the MGTOWs that are out there that are trapped in your communities that just suck because all you do is sit around and prove to each other how manly you are, how alpha you are, and call everybody else betas who's basically not you. Once some of those guys, and they do, they eventually, most guys will look at this and figure it out and say, you know what, I don't need this shit. And you know what, I think I'll go over and check that book out, or I think I'll go over to ABFM and check it out, or maybe they'll say, fuck it, I don't want either one of them, and they'll go their own way, but they will be leaving you. And it's important to me that we have some sort of option out there for those guys to come and pursue the parts of MGTOW that are naturally healthy and functional for men, that are just like a blessing for men who want them, where they can adopt a philosophy of living that doesn't require their sacrifice. It doesn't require them to run around and chase pussy and sniff after tail and put women on pedestals and worship them, and at the same time does not require them to hate somebody in order to not worship them. That does not require them to isolate themselves in order to be protected. And see, that's the nuance you guys are not getting. That's the intelligence of MGTOW that you are missing every day you wake up and go about your business. So anyway, that's about all I got for tonight. I want to say Happy New Year to everybody, even to you guys that I affectionately now call PIGTOWs. That is a comical name. It's I don't seriously think you're pigs. I just think you're maybe a little piggish sometimes. But anyway, you guys come back, have a great new year, have a prosperous new year, and most importantly, have a new year where you're free to be who you were supposed to be, to live your life as a free man, unencumbered by social expectations, unencumbered by your own biological drives to go after women, and unencumbered by other people who claim to be your brothers and who want to tell you who and what you're supposed to be. With that, I'll say good night. Wish you all a great new year. Bye-bye.